Hello, everybody. All right, with that, welcome everybody to the Mikestand. As of course, we've reached the hump day, the middle of the week. A happy hump day, everybody. Let's see. Of course, so gonna give people a chance to give people a moment to come in. Hopefully, I do have a couple stories for tonight. We'll get to in a moment. I'll talk about those. Hopefully, everybody's having a good week, enjoying the holidays, the holiday season. Um, as we are, of course, just waiting to see if anybody else shows up here. Hope everybody's having a good week thus far. We're now just 5 days away from Christmas, so hopefully everybody's um, all excited. You know, programming note, of course, Sunday and Monday we won't be doing a show as we'll be just letting everybody relax for the holidays. But of course we'll be back to it on Tuesday the 26th. Also, of course, we're going to be here the rest of this week, of course, up to Friday. Um, you know, Tomorrow we'll be doing the Indie Comics Showcase. And on Friday, of course, I have Metal coming in to do the historical comic retrospect, where we'll be looking back to January 1940, looking at books comics that went on sale from Dell Comics, most notably Funnies Volume 2, number 40, and War Comic Volume 1, Issue 1. So a little bit more random reading, of course. As I said, we're just waiting for more people to show up. Let's see. Oh, we're past the 3 minute mark, so I guess it would be a good time to go over. So, as I said, I'm gonna read over a couple of stories from Bleeding in the Comics, or Bleeding Fool, rather. I'm sorry, Bleeding Fool, including Polygon dutifully praises politicized comic as the best of 2023. I know Avi Green did that one. And DC debuts twisted new Batman villains in new comic trailer. So, got a couple of interesting comic stories we're going to go over tonight. Also, of course, the wrestling wrap up, and of course, this day in each history, day being December 20th, 2023. Um, you know, so let's see now. And we're just waiting for more people to come in. Let's see now. Yeah, I guess I'll start a little early here since we're at the 4.5 minute mark already. Let me just try it one more time to see if I can garner some more people. Okay. All right. So with that, why don't we go ahead and get started then? So, anyways, um, here we go. We're gonna get over to Bleeding Fool over here and get into those articles I mentioned. All right. So here we go. So here we go. Let's get started here. All right, with this first article. Alrighty then. All right, so here we go. All right, Polygon dutifully praises politicized comics as the best of 2023. Article by Avi Green, published December 20th, 2023. So published earlier today. So this is from Avi here. So here's Polygon's so-called best of 2023 listings, and wouldn't you know it, they made sure to add at least a few politicized independent graphic novels to what they claim are the best on the market. For example, a graphic novel titled Shubik Lubik. um, all right. But we do know that politicized comics don't really sell. People when you try to push agenda, they don't really sell. So um, maybe they're critically acclaimed, but what's that? What's that? Just because you're critically acclaimed doesn't necessarily mean that. Just because the critics like you doesn't mean that the general public is going to like you. And the general public is more the ones uh, who are actually buying your book. So let's get into this. So this I guess is from the Polygon article now. Whenever Egypt comes up in Western art, it's usually flattened and caricatured under the Western gaze. But what happens when you reverse the perspective? Dina Muhammad's brilliant saga, a work by an Egyptian creator, originally serialized for an Egyptian audience in Arabic, does just that. Her seminal comic is finally available in English with Mohammed herself translating it and with the pages that read right to left, just like any familiar manga, reflecting its origin. Set in modern day Cairo, the book pulls the reader into an alternate history wherein humanity can wish their dreams into reality for a price. Following multiple characters from varied class backgrounds, Muhammad explores how a world shaped by Western colonialism and capitalist impulses even systemizes impossible powers like wishes and dreams, and what that does to the Egyptian people living in such a society. So basically, it's a comic that tells Egyptian white people bad, capitalists bad, free market bad. That's basically what it sounds like the story is all about. It's like probably preaching the thing of the rich owe you something, which they do not. Um, Nobody owes anybody anything. All right, you owe yourself to be the best you can be, and not be reliant on outside forces. Unless, of course, you want to enslave yourself to the government, you know. So, deploying slick back matter, infographic pages, charts, and transitions between color and black and white. This work of bold science fiction fantasy reads like no other comic out of this year or any year. Shubik Lubik, Adina Muhammad. And I guess this is further this is further this is of course further from the article, I guess. This sure sounds like a subtle attack on Western values and capitalism. Yes, it does. I picked up on that too. And probably, oh, I guess that is, yeah, okay, that is actually Avi talking. I guess that is Avi talking right there. I thought that was from the article, but this sure sounds like a subtle attack on Western values and capitalism, and probably Islamic propaganda too. And just what do they mean by caricatured? Hmm. Something tells me they're not talking about how cops are depicted, but rather they're taking issue with how realist Westerners view the quote unquote religion of peace. Another fishy example here is a graphic novel titled Do a Powerbomb, which is supposed to be about wrestling. But now if for those of us who do know professional wrestling, we know what a power bomb is. It's a wrestling move, of course, done by primarily power wrestlers, where you take your opponent from a pike position. You basically stick your head between their knees but you put them in a pike position. You wrap your arms around their waist, lift them up over your head, and throw them down with as much force as possible. Okay, it was a move that was actually said to be been originated by, I think one of the originators was Jumbo Saruta. The original power bomb was called the Gonzo bomb, where the idea was you'd be instead of driving the guy on his back, you actually drove him on his shoulders and neck. That was the original. You take them from the pike position when you lift them up and you throw them down. You throw them down neck and shoulder first, as opposed to back first. Of course, there'd be many variations of the power bomb that would come, including the jackknife, which is more the one where you land on your back, which was popularized in the 90s by Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, in the WWE. But anyways, without that, now we get back, I guess, to the article here, or I guess from, I don't know if this is from the same Polygon article or if it's from a different article, but now we get from that. Let me go and see first off if anybody's here. As always, guys, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people involved, engaged. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, let's get back to the article here. The story of Do a Powerbomb is that Daniel Warren Johnson got into professional wrestling for the first time during the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is his love letter to the form. The story within Do a Powerbomb is that of a necromancer. Is that a necromancer offers a spot in his supernatural wrestling tournament to one young wrestler from our world, where wrestling is performance. If she wins, he'll bring her late mother back to life. But to do that, she'll have to tag team with the masked wrestler who accidentally killed her during a fateful match. Twist, that masked wrestler is her dad. Twist, they have to fight God, like the Judeo-Christian God. Yeah, again, another subtle, a few more subtle jabs at Judeo-Christian values. Now, after that portion of the article, now we go back to Avi here. So this graphic novel is an attack on Judeo-Christianity. Wow, and Lefty Polygon's okay with that, as they apparently are with another graphic novel titled 20th Century Man. Well, okay, we know we it's become it's become relatively apparent that the left, the hard left, hates anything traditional, hates anything Judeo Christian. You know, they basically they hate it. They want to wage war on it, and they do so with these little jabs. I guess they figure, with all these little pokes and jabs, it's like the idea of a death by 1,000 cuts, right? Um, anyways, the clearest critiques of the United States flow easily from the pens of those who have lived outside of it, where the cruelty of the nation's foreign policy exists in stark opposition to the fabulous posturing of its leaders. 20th Century Man does this with superheroes, spinning an alternative history. Oh, wait. Oh, I guess we're getting back to the Polygon article here. So let me just start that up again. This back in the Polygon article. The clearest critiques of the United States flow easily from the pens of those who have lived outside of it, where the cruelty of the nation's foreign policy exists in stark opposition to the fabulous posturing of its leaders. 20th Century Man does this with superheroes spinning an alternate history tale full of Avenger-style super soldiers, genetic experiments, and patriotic figureheads in a battle for the soul of Afghanistan. Denise Camp, Stephen Morian, and Aditya Bidikar have crafted a powerful, searing fable set in a version of the Soviet-Afghan War of the 80s, where a Russian soldier with metal armor contends with a superhuman American president and his crazed cyborg weapon, and a determined Afghan woman struggles to build paradise for her people amid the plunder. With the crushing juxtaposition of devastation and hope illuminated by the glow of sunsets and gunfire, Moran brings visual poetry to Camp's fiery prose for a story that seeks some kind of absolution for the superhero metaphor and struggles to find it. Maybe it's just another American crime, a reminder that this country was not born from one original sin, but many. Ah, yeah. I mean, if these people want to declare war on us, maybe we should respond and just eliminate these people. But, anyways, why do I get the dreadful feeling this is the kind of work that so? I guess this is Avi talking again. Let me see. Yeah, this is Avi talking again. Why do I get the dreadful feeling this is the kind of work that obscures the atrocities of the Taliban, and doesn't take issue with the USA based on the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan 2 years ago. Soviet Russia was a bad lot, but so too is any movement that governs tyrannically according to Islam. How can one find a soul if that's how things are going to be managed? And look how the columnist even slipped in the subtle anti-American propaganda. Next is the graphic novel Damn Them All, Damn Them All. So we're going back to the Polygon article here. So anyways, as we continue on here. Simon Spurrier, Matthias Bergara, and Aaron Campbell's 2020 run on DC's Hellblazer was one for the books. Urgent, clever, relevant, and very, very angry. It also ended too soon, canceled after 12 issues. I wonder why. if there could it be if they were pushing a narrative that nobody wanted to read? Maybe that's why it got canceled. With so much more to say. Spurrier responded with Damn Them All, a creator-owned spiritual successor to his Hellblazer run that doubles as a bleep you to the Fates. Yeah, well, I mean, again, if it didn't sell, then that's your own fault for trying to shove your agenda down people's throats. You know, joined this time by the Walking Dead artist Charlie Adlard. Damn Them All follows occultist Ellie Bloody L Hawthorne. I guess she's supposed to be the heroine here. Bloody L as a heroine. Okay, the niece of the thinly veiled John Constantine stand-in named Alfie, as she must damn 72 freed demons back to hell itself. Calling Damn Them All new Hellblazer does the series an injustice. It has its own concerns, where Hellblazer was a scathing gothic nightmare about post-Brexit England. Well, I don't think the Brits really felt that way about exiting. Damn Them All focuses its rage on the wealthy technocrats of the world. Demons become a metaphor for the power to reshape the world simply because they have the boredom and the means. Ellie Hawthorne isn't a hero either, but a junkie who knows someone is trying to screw her and has the know-how to try and screw them first. Oh yeah, so you know, obviously she's not doing this out of any altruistic means. She's just playing victim and says, "Well, screw you. I'm going to screw you before you screw me." Yeah, that's a good basis for a story. That will really bring in the money, right? A real good message there, isn't it? Though Charlie Adlard's inky pen and jagged lines, or through Charlie Adlard's inky pen and jagged lines, Damn Them All is a story about being pissed in all kinds of ways and having no problem with finding a few more. Yeah, that's a story that will definitely attract people, right? That's definitely a story that will definitely attract people. So now we're back to Avi here. So here, somebody decided to rag on Brexit, but apparently not the UK government's fiasco in dealing with illegal immigration into the country, and likely won't be concerned with such ghouls littering the streets with anti-Israeli demonstrations either, or the abuse of the cenotaph monument. Um, and the creators of this graphic novel apparently were among those who've written portions of a DC title that had once been under the now defunct Vertigo label. And this graphic novel also seems to represent the viewpoint of somebody who will never look for anything positive to be happy about. I'd say that's true. I picked up on that too. I picked up on that too. I think the writer of this particular graphic novel probably deserves to burn in hell. I mean, he's I think quite literally asking for it. And argue in favor of emphasizing if it could help improve the state of the world. Or put another way, it's an example of the sad staple of obsessions with darkness instead of seeking the light. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of funny because as far as I know, I don't know of any of these books. I up until now, I hadn't even heard of any of them. I don't know if any of you have heard any of these books. You know, probably not because I mean they, as Avi pointed out there, I think these books collectively just aren't going to sell because people, it's not what people want. Um, so yeah. So anyways, but when they're writing stuff like this, it basically just a lot of loathing and self-loathing. I don't think anybody'd be too attracted to that. So here's more of what I guess is how Avi is finishing off this article. At least this makes clear that if you know where to look, you'll find some pretty sad examples of independent comics that can emphasize all the worst directions possible to take politically or otherwise. Stuff no realist should finance. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't even think I don't think a lot of you are. I mean, look, they were talking about how that last book they were talking about was, I guess, a somewhat of a spiritual, what they call the spiritual continuation of the Hellblazer book that the guy was writing, um, and basically, in essence, basically putting all of his negativity into the book. Well, that particular Hellblazer got canceled after 12 issues. Again, probably because it wasn't selling. Because nobody was bought, they may have bought the first one or two issues more out of the kind of novelty. Oh, I guess I'll check this out, see what it is. And once they saw what it was, they said, no, not for me. This is garbage. I don't want it. I'm not going to spend any more money on this garbage. So, anyways, now let's get to this next part, which maybe this might be a better article in terms of being a little more, well, seems more like a release type article, as it were. And as I said, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, anyways, with that, let's get into this. All right, so DC debuts twisted new Batman villains in new comic trailer. Article by John Pallister, published earlier today. So let's see now. So yeah, we're almost at 30 minutes here. So that's good. All right. So let's see where we can go with this. All right. So DC's epic new comic comes to life in a trailer for Batman Gargoyle of Gotham. Now that the series has released its second issue, the publisher is hyping up its intense Black Label miniseries, um, with another richly rendered animated trailer that shows out just how brutal the newest members of his rogues gallery are. See. On YouTube, DC Comics posted the following trailer promoting the release of Batman Gargoyle of Gotham's second issue. The trailer is fully animated and shows Batman dropping into a warehouse filled with cartoon memorabilia. Unbeknownst to him, however, is Batman, who weeps as he attacks the Dark Knight with a hammer. Oh wow, that was a pretty short article. Wow, I didn't realize that one was going to be that short. Wow. Ah. Ah. Okay. Well, I guess something happened between, I guess, StreamYard and YouTube there. Hmm. Because I just got a message, I guess, from StreamYard that they were having difficulty streaming to YouTube. But anyways, so let me just cut this off real quick here. So let's see. So that article went pretty quick. So let me see. Maybe I'll try to see if I can find another article here. Let's see if there's something in the. Maybe I'll go back to the. Let's see. In the movie TV streaming section. Right swapping. All right. Let's see. Well, if I can't find anything, then I might just start talking about random stuff here. Um, let's see now. And again, as always, guys, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability here. Let me try one more time, going back to founding an economy. If there's anything that came up after I made my decisions earlier. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I know. Okay, so well, here's an anime story. Just found something here that was probably going to be of some interest. I know Yellow Flash reported on this earlier today, and now we see the Bounding in the Comics article on it. So I will go ahead and talk about this a bit here. As always, guys, if you haven't already, if you guys can like and share the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the question to the best of my ability. So, with that, why don't we go ahead and take a look at this article now? All right, so Mobile Suit Gundam creator slams Disney's recent output as, quote, disappointing, unquote, and quote unquote boring. Says full switch to digital animation has left company creatively sterile. Wow, that's kind of a damning statement, right? Creatively sterile. Okay. Okay. Uh, Article by Spencer McCooley, published earlier today. All right, so let's take a look at this then. Um, and we do know, because I know Yellow Flash has covered this quite a bit as well, that that basically um, um, how manga has been tearing it up over over Western comics the last couple of years here, last 3-4 years here. So, anyways, so here we go. In expressing a sentiment shared by many a fan of the House of Mouse's portfolio of animated classics, Mobile Suit Gundam series creator Yoshiyuki Tomino has revealed that he is not a fan of Disney's near full abandoning of its hand drawn animation roots. He believes that their transition to digital has essentially taken the soul, quote unquote, out of all their animated production. And I know a lot. I know we've had some. Of course we have some comic artists, on here as well, time to time. I know that is kind of a sentiment that's shared, in many ways. When you when you go from mostly being hand drawn to mostly being like um, computer, or AI assisted, you do, you lose that people would argue you do lose that personal touch. So, anyways, let's continue on here. The man behind one of the most popular mecha anime series of all time shared his opinion on Disney's current sterility during a recent um, interview regarding the current state of its own industry given to Japanese news outlet Toyo Keizai Online, translated by via DeepL. Speaking to the outlets, Yusuke Nishizawa on December 17th, Tomino opened their discussion by both acknowledging the fact that quote, the anime industry is certainly in a period of prosperity, unquote, and subsequently warning, quote, however, it is unclear whether the situation will continue in the future, unquote. Now, as Yellow Flash has also kind of opined on, one of the issues here is that in recent years, anime has been making more money from the West than from its own country. And the thought is that, with that being said, to cater to trying to get more money from the West, they might invite some of these Western influences in that would totally just denigrate and try to destroy what made anime so appealing to everybody in the first place. Trying to tell creators, oh, we don't want this, we don't want that, and the creators, just basically, and maybe the anime and manga industries having to go, the independent route if the bigger companies here decide to follow the lead of the, what I would say to my Japanese friends, don't let the West, there's a reason why you guys are getting more money from the West, and it's not because of those corporate jerk offs. It's not because of the wokies. It's because the people don't like what the wokies are putting out and like what you're doing now. So don't let them come in and change what you do. So anyways, okay. And there's Tomino right there. Gundam's been around for quite a while, so it's not surprising he looks like. But actually, for a guy who's probably in his at least probably in his 70s, because the first Gundam series came out in 79, 40 years ago. So guy's probably in his 60s or 70s. He looks pretty good. That's pretty well preserved there. All right. Anyways, um, quote: the excitement may continue for another 5 or 6 years, but that will be it, and it will fade away. Unquote. Explained the veteran anime creator of his appraisal. Quote: the same is true for novels and movies, but there are always ups and downs that occur with the changing time. Now, of course, what we also know, what Yellow Flash has pointed out as well, is when the West stays true to the source material, when they honor the source material, it can be successful. We look right at the One Piece, the live action One Piece series. That's been successful because, unlike what they did with Cowboy Bebop, what they did with One Piece, they stayed true to the source material. They didn't try to put any of their own personal twist into it. They stayed true to it, and because they stayed true to it, it's succeeding. Whereas when the West try to when the Western companies try to just ignore the Cowboy Bebop's creator and ignore his notes and suggestions, that thing bombed like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, let's see. Quote: the same is true for novels and movies, but always okay, ups and downs at changing time. Works are meant to be enjoyed by people with hearts. So if the world environment changes, the face of culture will change. People's hearts will also change. So if we reach the peak now, we will reach a dead end from now on. Unquote. Typical theory of life cycle there, right? Everything that lives must eventually die, right? That's kind of the idea I think he's pointing out there. Um, so let's see. Tomino then admitted that while, quote, animes themselves will not disappear, unquote, at it current, he found it, quote, difficult to say whether there will be a better work than what we have now, unquote. In support of his argument regarding the quality of the industry's current production methods, the creator then pointed to how after the switch from hand-drawn animation to digital, Disney's works were all disappointing, unquote, and lamented how, quote, that kind of animation will continue, unquote. Yeah, because people, in this day and age when people want like instant gratification, want things boom, 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 you do lose a little bit of something there in terms of the quality, right? So, following a brief detour regarding the topic of AI art tools, which the creator fears little, as he told his host, quote, the amazing ability of humans is that they have the ability to discern when something is different. I trust that feeling. Nishizawa then pressed, unquote, Nishizawa then pressed Tomino for his thoughts on how the industry's profits are currently being, quote, unevenly distributed, unquote, between production companies, investors, and studios, with the latter usually getting the shortest end of the stick. In turn, Tomino revealed that quote, it is neither the production companies nor the investors who make the most money in the industry, unquote, but rather, quote, the companies that distribute the videos, unquote. Quote, are these platformers, in smaller quotes there, really paying for the intellectual property rights for their works in a fair and just manner, unquote, or unsmaller quote? That is my biggest concern, unquote, said the mecha genre pioneer. Quote, I have thought in the past about how to avoid losing profits from those who have created such a clever system to keep users in a tight circle and prevent them from getting away with it. The only thing I could come up with was to charge for, in brackets, internet signal itself. Um, I know that's not much more than science fiction. Well, in some ways, though, you. But the thing is, you do kind of get charged for. The only thing about that is you do kind of get because a lot of basically when you have to pay for your internet. You still have to pay for your internet. You have to pay to for for your services, right? So I don't know. He understands that part of it, but taking in his guest's answer, Nishizawa then asserted, quote, but I dare say that it would be a good idea, unquote, to which Domino boldly replied, quote, but I would venture to say that those who are in a position to do the creative work could do without it, unquote. Elaborating on his argument, the industry veteran detailed, quote, it has been a year since my workplace was moved to this new building in Ogikubo. As part of the organizational integration of the Bandai Namco Group. But I don't think it is a good environment for creating new works, unquote. Wow, so he's not too keen on the newer stuff, huh? But then that's the case with a lot of us old fogies, right? We're not always big on change because change tends to complicate things. Attempting to explain the creative sterility, smaller quotes there, of such a work environment, Tomino told Nishizawa that, quote, this fine building is all digitized and over air conditioned, unquote, and as such lacks any real, in smaller quotes, personality with which to inspire its occupants. Drawing a parallel between such sanitized working conditions and the art of digital animation, Tomino then criticized, quote, same thing with the boring work produced by Disney's digital production system today. People who create must have a crazy side, a sense of spirituality, earthiness, and indiness, unquote. Quote, if you can create an indigenous work of art in a space with complete control of the air conditioning, I think you should make it, unquote. He continued before proceeding to offer up a more concrete example of his sentiment. Quote, when I look back at Machiko Hasegawa's Sazai-san, um, I can smell that it must have been drawn in a workroom where a drafty wind was blowing when manga first started appearing in post-war life. I think it would be more dangerous to lose that smell, unquote. Yeah, I think I can understand what he's kind of getting at. I guess this is an example of what he's talking about here. This is the I guess the artwork for him. I guess some don't know that it's manga or this is actually from the probably from the anime, which was back in 1969. Sazai Fuguta, who is voiced by Midori Kato, introduces herself to the world in the opening of Sazai song, 1969 from Elkin. Finally, as the interview drew to a close, Tomino ultimately declared, quote, the most important thing for producers is to give artists a place where they can make the most of their talents, unquote. Quote, it is not as simple as just spending money and offering a floor of a high-rise building as a workplace, unquote, he argued. Quote, it would be presumptuous to think that an office worker who does not know the practicalities of production can, quote unquote, in smaller quotes, manage the creative process. So it is not surprising that the producer is also a creative person, unquote. And the last, okay, so there we go. There we go. That was a pretty interesting article, wouldn't you say, people? All right. So with that, so we did get through quite a bit of stuff there. So now we're going to start to wind down a bit here, of course, as now we're at, of course, 52 minutes. So it's a good time to move on to the wrestling wrap up, and do have some interesting things to talk about. So in WWE news, of course, there does seem to be a lot of contracts that seem to be coming up. It was recently reported that Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio were signed to long-term deals, and it was reported today by WrestleMania Charlotte Flair has now also been re-signed to a long-term contract. Now the WWE is looking to try to lock in a lot of their talent to where they can't go to, as of course, as a number of talents from both WWE and AEW. Of course, we were talking about yesterday how it was reported yesterday that MJF is not in fact signed with AEW. It's only been leaked that he was, but apparently he's not. He himself confirmed that, I believe. So just to try to make sure that they lock in their talent. Right now, one of the people who actually has some extended time due to the fact he was out injured for a while there, Drew McIntyre, but his contract's due up, and there's been a lot of talk that possibility both AEW and TNA might be looking to pick up the scraps of whatever talent is out there now. TNA recently had some people, like Heath's contract came up, and he recently went back on the independent scene. So right now, a lot of people's contracts are coming up, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about people possibly going where some of the non-complete clauses are come due tomorrow, including Dolph Ziggler, for many of those WWE talents that were released earlier this year. And there's been talk that, particularly in Dolph's case, there's been talk that both AEW and TNA are interested in bringing him in. And you can't also forget about the NWA either. They're also, they have one of their own stars whose contract is coming up. Camille, apparently, her contract's coming up with NWA. So there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking in the wrestling world in the next probably few months here. And of course, you have Sting, who will be having his last match in March at Revolution. His retirement match at AEW's Revolution. But right now, as we do get in the AEW portion of this, so let me just remind everybody, of course, AEW has its next big pay-per-view coming up a week from this Saturday, World's End, already signed, of course. MJF will be defending the AEW World Title against Samoa Joe, as well as and also of course, the finals of the Continental Classic tournament. Speaking of which, the finals of the last of the matches for the preliminaries of the Gold League portion of the Continental Classic will be happening tonight. Of course, this is all for what they're deeming to be their own version of the Triple Crown, as it'll be the AEW's Continental title, which will be merged with the Ring of Honor title and the New Japan strong open weight title that Eddie Kingston had volunteered into the mix. On tonight, the final matches of the preliminaries here include Roosh will be taking on Swerve Strickland. Jay Lethal will be taking on Mark Briscoe, and in the main event, Moxley will be taking on Jay White. Now, Moxley's already locked himself into the semifinals which will happen next week. The semifinals of the Continental Classic will be happening next week as a lead into the World's End pay-per-view. Also tonight, two other matches announced for tonight include Saraya taking on Riho in a number one contenders match for the AEW Women's World Title. The winner of that match will be facing Toni Storm at World's End, so we'll probably have another match signed for that event later on tonight. And then Roderick Strong, with the Kingdom in his corner, will be taking on Commander in another matchup. So that's all the AEW news I have for you. Now, of course, there is some NWA news, as last night, of course, NWA had its Power Show, and it was part 2 of their return to Robart. The first time they returned to the Robarts Arena in Sarasota, Florida, in like 30 years, the NWA had. On last night's show, Mims defended the NWA World Television title against his Magnum Muscle tag partner, Dak Draper. The match ended in a draw. They went to the full 6:05 TV time limit. In a mixed tag team street fight, in what I believe may be one of Camille's last matches with the NWA. As I mentioned earlier, her contract is up. Camille and Tom Latimer, the NWA's quote-unquote power couple, lost to the team calling themselves Looks That Kill of Brian Idol and Natalia Markova. And the main event saw the Southern Six of NWA National Champion Thrillbilly Silas Mason teaming with Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor to defeat the miserably faithful of Gags the Gimp, Judas, and Salvation, with Father James Mitchell in their corner. As NWA is prepping for its next big event, which will be happening on January 13th, which of course I believe is the same date as TNA Impact's Hard to Kill, or TNA's Hard to Kill pay-per-view, in which Impact will revert back to the TNA branding. Already announced for, I believe, signed for that match. Already signed for that show. The main event has EC3, the current NWA World Heavyweight Champion, defending the title against against Matt Cardona. And now here's the thing, though. He on this promo today, on the promo that we saw, EC3 declined Matt Cardona's challenge for a death match, only to answer Cardona's challenge with a challenge of his own to an ultimate match of death. Now, I don't know what the difference between a death match and an ultimate match of death is. I have no idea what the real, if there's any real difference, because traditionally a death match is you two guys wrestle until somebody can, until somebody can't continue. Basically, what you do is you wrestle each other. You pin each other. You pin your opponent, and then your opponent has to the count of 10 for the match to continue. That's what a traditional death match is. You don't win just simply after making the pin, but you have to basically, you have to make it to where your opponent cannot answer the 10 count. So that's a traditional death match for you. So now, again, I don't know what the difference between a death match and the ultimate match of death is, but I guess we'll find out soon enough as we have maybe 3 weeks before the event takes place and have plenty of time for more matches to be signed. And you have people working there, you have like Mims and I think actually Maxie Impaler, who is the current NWA Women's World Television Champion, has actually garnered her 7 successful title victories to be able to utilize the Lucky 7 clause in the contract. In the NWA, the Lucky 7 clause is if you have 7 successful title defenses, which means you have to either, in your title defense, you have to win or get a draw, then you can, so DQ, and even with the fact that titles can't change hands on DQ or a count out, those are not counted as successful title defenses. But I think Maxine Taylor has recorded her 7 successful title defenses, and it's just a matter of time before it's announced that she might be challenging Kenzie Page for the NWA World Heavyweight title. So, anyways, that's all we have for the wrestling wrap up here. So now, why don't we go ahead and, with today being Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! Well, as it were. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look back at this day in each history. So let me just review here. Okay, 73. Yeah, 93. And 2003, 2013. 1993, and okay. So, without any further ado, let's take a look back at this day in each history. First off, we're going to head back 50 years ago today. On this date, 50 years ago today, the first issue of Fat Albert from Gold Key went on sale on this date back in 1973. It sold for 20 cents for 32 pages. So, as was the common, as Gold Key continued the practice that Dell was doing, basically making comic adaptations of televised products. Yeah, right. I'm looking right now. I don't. But then again, some people would argue that, we know a little bit about Archie, but I don't know if Gold Key would have necessarily had to, because since like with Dell and Gold Key, since we were talking about this the other day with the Comics Code Authority. Yeah, Dell and Gold Key may not have had to use the seal because a lot of the properties that they were doing were actually under the stricter, since they were being done for television and all that, they were under the stricter restrictions of like the Hays Code and the stuff that was the requirements that were required for film and television. So, but on this date, 50 years ago today, the first issue of Fat Albert from Gold Key Comics went on sale on this date back in 1973. So, and again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. Anyways, moving on to the next piece of niche history. We move ahead to 1993. On this date in 1993, Jerry Lawler would defeat Jeff Jarrett for the USWA title, USWA Unified title, in Memphis, Tennessee, during their Monday shows at the Mid-South Coliseum. Now, the funny thing is, too, here's one of the funny things, too. As this is going live at the event, of course, Jeff Jarrett was also making his WWF televised debut on Raw that night as well. Now, his Raw match was, of course, recorded the week earlier on December 13th. Now, back, of course, in 1993 when they were starting, they would record shows in advance. They'd record the show for that night and then broadcast that one that night, and then they'd also record shows over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And that was kind of the common practice back then with any television show. It's similar to what AEW does when they have the live recording of the Dynamite on Wednesdays, and then they also will they'll also do they'll record they'll tape the Rampage show for Friday on that same night on Wednesday. So 30 years ago today, Jerry Lawler defeated Jeff Jarrett for the USWA Unified World Title, which was probably to get it off because he was going to probably now that he was going to be making his debut with the WWE. Now that he was going to be making his debut with the WWE, of course. It was, he would probably not be spending as much time, be able to spend as much time in the USWA. So, anyways, that's something. Okay, so what is your favorite sea of Okhotsk? I don't think I have. First up, I doubt very seriously if you can have a favorite one because I would imagine there's only one sea of Okhotsk or whatever that is. So I don't know if you technically can have a favorite one because there's only one. There's probably only one sea of Okhotsk, but anyways, getting back to the and as always, of course, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer them with best of my ability. So, and we now get ready to move on to the next piece of niche history. We move ahead to 2003. On this date in 2003, Sunrise's Inuyasha, the movie Swords of an Honorable Ruler, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2003. So 20 years ago today, Sunrise's Inuyasha, the movie Swords of an Honorable Ruler, premiered on this date in 2003, 20 years ago today. All right then. So, anyways, getting ready to move on to the last piece of Nietzsche history here. We go back just 10 years ago on this date, 10 years ago today. Let's see. Making it on this date. Walking with Dinosaurs, live action slash animated film distributed by 20th Century Fox in North America, produced in conjunction between Reliance Entertainment, BBC Earth Films, and Evergreen Studios. Made its United States premiere on this date 10 years ago today. So, Walking with Dragons, the live action computer animated family film, um, made its United States premiere 10 years ago today. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Um, hope everybody enjoyed the show. Let's see. Of course, we'll be back here tomorrow with more Nietzsche. Of course, tomorrow night we will be going over. We'll be going over the Indie Comic Showcase from Bleeding Fool. Hope you guys will be back for that. Also, also, also Friday, of course, I'll have Metal co-hosting with me as we'll be looking back comics that went on sale in January 1940. From Dell, we'll be focusing in on Dell Comics, looking at the Funnies Volume 2, Issue 40, and War Comics Volume 1, Issue 1. And then, of course, special programming note, no weekend edition this Sunday, as we'll be taking Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off. But we will be back here after Friday on Tuesday, back to doing Nietzsche news and all that. With that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.